Good afternoon, everyone. This is Richard Kuhns, author of How to Get Your Life Back from Chronic Lyme and other Morgellons and other skin parasites, along with Robin, my co-host, and Margie is also on the call, who was instrumental in our first segment, which was about emotional support. This segment is about questions and answers, questions that you have about what's in the book, how to deal with the diet, how to get on the diet, how to stay on the diet, how to make it work, because the diet works. That's the key. That's the one thing you need to keep in your mind. The diet works. The challenge is for you to make it work. And that's where keeping a diary, and believe me, the best coaches we have, Robin is a phenomenal coach. Another coach we have is Megan. They've both had difficulties in getting the diet to work. And that's what makes them a great coach, because they've gone through it. They understand how easy it is to make mistakes. And if you work the diet, make it work, there are people who claim that it's a damn cure. But let me say, the AMA and the FDA require me to tell you that there is no cure. In fact, we don't cure, we don't treat, we don't mitigate, we don't even diagnose these diseases. That's not not there. We don't do that. We don't have that education or qualifications or licensing. And the FDA requires me to inform everybody that before you start the diet, the King diet, the best and only diet for dealing with skin parasites, don't tell me about these other diets. Don't tell me you're on, what is it, the keto diet, or right, and you're on the caveman diet. I mean, they're all great, but they are not parasite diet. Like, for instance, both of them, you can have all the olive oil you want, but you consume olive oil when on this diet, and you're not on the diet. You're not even close to the diet, because the parasites love olive oil, and that's only one of probably 15 or 20 different things that are healthy on the other diets, but are not healthy for you getting your life back from skin parasites. That's the reality. So before you start this phenomenal diet, or accept any of the recommendations that I may make, or Robin, or Ethel, or Margie, or Megan, that you are discuss them thoroughly with your medical doctor to make sure they do not interfere with any health problems you're presently experiencing. So what the heck can we do? If we can't diagnose, we can't treat, we can't mitigate, what can we do? We can educate. Education. Believe me, education is the key to everything. So we can educate you how to clean them out of your body, clean them out of your skin, and clean them out of your environment. There's 3 things. And the 4th is we can educate you which targeted supplements, targeted specific supplements that are compatible. I mean, there are many supplements out there, but there are very few that are compatible with the King diet. So we can, by using these targeted supplements, build immune functioning and get your health back. So the first question up was a lady was asking about, will you open her line about Collembola?
Her line is open.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm having a really hard time clearing them out of my house, and I was on the diet, and then my doctor wanted to have me tested for worms, so I went off the diet hoping that would increase the worms, and all the tests came back negative, and as soon as I took the tests, I went right back on the diet. So I'm just getting back to the point where they're not as bothersome, but will diet alone keep them from, like, molting in my skin?
Well, okay, let's. I'll weigh in on this, and then I'll have Robin and Margie weigh in on it, and if Megan is here, she can weigh in it, and so Ethel as well. But first of all, the diet is imperative, as I said in the beginning. Now, right. Secondly, we talked about this in the first segment, and that is stool tests are a waste of time. In fact, Strongyloides cervicalis is a nematode that exists in and out of the body. It can only be tested by the stool if it's examined within 20 minutes of elimination. So you're going to get somebody to examine it within 20 minutes. You have to go to the doctor, do it there, have him do it right there at that moment, but he has to know what he's looking for. So for Strongyloides cervicalis, the best thing is to have a blood sample taken, send it to Quest Labs, and they will analyze it. As far as the other parasites go, there is not one human being, unless you've been on this protocol for a period of time, that doesn't have internal parasites. Humans and parasites are synonymous, internal parasites. We all have them. And the protocol goes into this. The protocol, we use diatomaceous earth. It's a mineral, and it's like shards. It cuts them apart, dries them up, and destroys them. It works in the gut, goes into the bloodstream as well. We use our phenomenal mouthwash, which it's like activated charcoal in liquid form, will irritate the organisms and get them out of there. In fact, I doubt that anybody can take a teaspoon of this mouthwash who has not been on the protocol and not experienced diarrhea within minutes. It's that phenomenal. It cleans you out. And it also gets into the bloodstream. Thirdly, we look at fenbenzidol. It's a medication. It's a very safe medication. And it goes and is targeted for basically all types of nematodes. It's even used for Strongyloides cervicalis, which is generally treated with albendazole and ivermectin, but fenbenzidol, as noted in Wikipedia, is also used for Strongyloides cervicalis. So waste of time is stool analysis. You clean them out of your body. Stay away from wormwood, stay away from black walnut hulls, because the Collembola live out in the organic world. They consume this stuff. That's what they eat. They eat that out in the. So if you consume it, you're just feeding them what they love. So stay away from those detox things that you find. They're generally pretty expensive as well. So now, as far as Collembola goes, number one is that diet. If it hasn't kicked in, then you need to look into doing the journaling, see what foods, perhaps rice is a problem, and you need to eliminate rice. So you need to do a diary to see what foods you eat that are on the diet, and if you react within 20 minutes after you eat them. So you need to figure out the foods, number one, to make it work. And then, because in the pre-program with Ethel, she was talking about dopamine. Maybe we should start recording that portion as well, because it was entertaining and also informative. Parasites have a unique ability, and if you go into the blog and you go back through and look for Collembola and look for this information, the research studies are cited where you can go to the page and read the research that says parasites create dopamine. They love it so much that they create it. They make a situation where your brain has excess dopamine, and then through the regular mechanisms of your receptors, that dopamine is absorbed in abundant quantities to feed the parasites. So it's like, gosh, a revolving door, you know. So these medications that are in the book that are generally recognized by the medical profession as antipsychotics, could be Seroquel, Zoloft, Orap or Primazide, it lists about Abilify. There's about 12 of them, 11 or 12 of them. They reduce dopamine uptake in the brain, so that helps people get onto the diet. It helped me. It made a difference in my life. I was fortunate enough to go to a doctor who recognized that there are things called bird mites that infest people, and he had shared with me a county fair where many people went into this pavilion that had straw, and they all became infected, and through the treatment utilizing ORAP, Primazide, they were improved. Well, he didn't understand, and at that time, and neither did I, that it was because Primazide reduces the uptake of dopamine. And so for many, many years, we got a bad rap because I was recommending and I was using ORAP. Oh, you're just giving in to the medical, to the psychiatrist. You're just using antipsychotics. Oh. It has a real purpose. It reduces the uptake. Medications have more than one purpose sometimes. Look at low-dose naltrexone. Naltrexone is very important, but in low doses, it's used with parasites, it's used with diabetes, it's used with weight control, it's used with hypertension, it's used with all kinds of applications. So just because a medication is used for schizophrenia doesn't mean it can't be an antiparasitic as well. Comprehend? Okay. So key 1, get that diet to work. Key 2, do the baths 3 times a day if you can. I mean, there are people that achieve success in the shower, but if you can, do the bath 3 times a day. Now, you need to use a disinfectant that is not. Now, if you also have indications of burning skin, if you go to Wikipedia, WebMD, burning skin is an indication of skin fungus. See, I'm not diagnosing. I'm just saying if you go there, you'll find that they will tell you that burning skin is an indication of skin fungus. So if you've ever had athlete's foot or jock itch, you know what it is, burning. So that's skin fungus. So if you're dealing with burning skin, you want to use apple cider vinegar as your disinfectant in the bath. Otherwise, you can use peppermint, you can use hypochlorite, you can use any of the essential oils, you can use borax, Epsom salts, you can use, Chapter 3 has a list of about 14 different disinfectants that you can use. So 3 times a day with a cup of Nature's Gift, a cap full of Nature's Gift. Now, we're not here to sell. You can do it the way I did it, okay? I got rid of my Collembola years before I knew of Nature's Gift. The difference was I had to use scalding baths, hot baths, to the point where I would almost faint to kill these organisms and along with it. And so with Nature's Gift just makes it easier to extract these organisms. After you get out of the bath, shower off, use soap, Dr. Bonner soap, but use our soap. It's far better. And then when you get out, then if you're dealing with Morgellons, you want, in the beginning, well, we're talking about Collembola, so you can use a towel. You want to disinfect your towel, or you don't want to use it more than once. There's a whole thing about laundry and how to disinfect your laundry and so forth in the book. So you want to take care of that. You want to disinfect your sheets. You want to have all of that clean so that when you lie down, you're not going to be reinfected from your sheets or from the floor around your bed, or from the if you go to your bathroom sink, there's where you stand, there's an undercut under where your feet go. It's about 4 inches high, 2 or 3 inches deep for your feet. They love to go in there. They love to go in the drains. So you want to disinfect everything. You want to disinfect around your toilet. They love to hang around the toilet, all around it. So you need to disinfect, get everything out of there. Okay, so if you're doing that, and you're doing now, if you have extreme case, there's been an update, and it's included in the new edition of the book coming out, where when Robin gets out of the bath, out of the shower, she actually uses a mixture of oils and Nature's Gift and some other things, and she rubs it into her skin. It could take 45 minutes perhaps, but the idea is get as dramatic, and it's a war. You get as the protocols are there. You need to put them into place and figure out how much, to what depth that you need to use the protocols. So the diet, bathing, and disinfecting, those three things. Now, if affordable, you want to use Max 1, glutathione accelerator. That's number one. And then if affordable, use the multivitamin and the minerals. And if further affordable, use the Garcillin. Those are 4 tremendous magic-packed supplements that make a phenomenal difference. Anything to add to that, Robin?
I would like to address the question about springtails a little more. Springtails are actually an insect, and in the old days, in the Midwest, they would infest a barn and they would just burn the barn down to the ground because they're really hard to get rid of, which is why I wanted to burn down my house initially. And the thing is that they are very prolific, so it's hard to keep up with what they're doing in your environment and keep them out of your skin. And I really recommend Garden Safe Fungicide 3, which is an organic pesticide, 70% neem oil. They hate neem oil. And you can get it where it attaches to a hose and spray it all around the outside because they live in dirt and moisture. And you can also make your own spray from the concentrate and spray it in your house, and it's going to knock them down a lot.
Yes, it is incredible. It's an incredible disinfectant. For years, I had trouble sitting in my patio on the swing because years ago there was a raccoon infected that was eating my fish under there, and the Garden Safe Fungicide 3 is finally the thing that got him out of my patio. I've tried everything else that was in the book. So yes, it is infected. So chapter 3 is over about 55 pages of detail, things to do, and it is the best there is. Those things are important to do.
And the other thing that I wanted to say was sometimes you have to there are resistant strains, and you may have to get more aggressive. You may have to use flea bombs or the triple pesticide, or I've developed this quintuple pesticide, which I emailed Richard about, and it will be in an update or in the book. And
you want to go give me the ingredients? Go ahead.
Well, it's the triple pesticide, which is
IGR,
which
Exponent,
is egg exponent, onslaught, and then it's this stuff, and then it's 10% permethrin, which is you use at least 50% in whatever you're mixing, and then it's this stuff called, it begins with a C. What is it called?
Chrysanthemum?
No. It's a very powerful. It's targeted just for springtails. It's highly recommended, and it's an actual exterminator thing.
Well, you can send it to me, and I'll put it out in an update.
Again, I can't remember the name, but it's amazing. It's amazing stuff, because my house had gotten, I've had this leak, and my house has gotten really bad, and it's only been 2 weeks. I've been doing it every 5 days instead of every 10 days, and big difference between that and menthol crystals, which if I'm going to be gone for 2 or more hours, I burn menthol crystals in all the rooms and then air it out when I come back, and all of that has helped tremendously, as well as the ozone generators.
And of course, you always have the electrostatic sprayer that I mentioned earlier, which is really, somebody wrote me or asked me about the difference between, atomizing and fogging and electrostatic sprayer, and they had an article. The electrostatic sprayer puts a electric charge it's a positive charge. Everything in the environment is negatively charged. So you can fog something, and say, for instance, you're fogging near a door. Well, the fog is going to go on the front side of the doorknob, but it's not going to get on the back side. So the electrostatic sprayer, as soon as you spray in that vicinity, it's going to go all the way around, just like opposite magnets attracting each other, just like that. So that's how that works, and why it is so different than atomizing or just fogging. Okay, thank you for your question. Anyone else have a question? Chris?
Gwen, your line is open, Gwen.
So I've been called all kinds of names, like I was losing my mind and was having an emotional breakdown. And when I went to the doctor, the same thing happened. And they, I started telling them what was going on, and then I decided I needed to stop, because if I tell them about what's happening, then they want to give me a diagnosis. So, but recently, I decided that I wanted to talk to my doctor about, not about itching, but about depression, because a part that goes with this, you can get depressed. That opened the door for me. So when I talked about depression, she said, oh, well, you need to speak to the psychologist, and then the psychologist and a psychiatrist. So what came out of that is that they were willing to give me medicine for depression. And because I was ready now after 6.5 years of going through this, I needed to be more normal. So last week I got, what is it? Zoloft.
Okay, Zoloft.
And low dosage. So they gave me the 20/50. I had to break and take 25 once a day. And the 25 once a day, in 3 days, I start feeling better. Now, what it did, it gave me that emotional strength again, because now I'm able to think. Now, in the meantime, of course, I'm going to need to talk to you guys, okay, what do I do next and all that. But right now, I have the ability to be able to make decisions. My mind is clear. I understand the side effects, and I understand this is short-term. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm having trouble with my microphone.
Oh, okay. So the good part is that I did take the medicine. I am on it. It's making me feel tremendously normal. I'm not itching a lot. And so, of course, I'll be, talking to you guys about what's next and all that. But it works. So this is for now. This is a good way to start.
Yes. Have you started the diet?
Yes. I started the diet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cleaning, but I still need more because I find myself getting reinfected. So I decided this was the last thing. I did not want to do this, but I decided that I needed to do more at this point. So I'm taking the medicine at a low dosage, and already it's working.
Mm-hmm. Great. Generally, the dosages are less than what they generally do for the purposes that the medications are usually intended, which is good. So it's usually lower doses. And yes, as the diet kicks in and you do all the things that we talked about with the first person who asked about Collembola, your life is going to brighten up every day. I mean, every day is not going to be up, 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 but you're going to have more ups than downs. You're going to be at a different place a few months from now than you were a month ago. Guaranteed.
Oh, Richard, I remember the
and you
name
can get
of
them.
that. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's called Sayonara, only with a C.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Sayonara.
That's a great. I'm so glad to hear that things are going so well. So
good.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for your help.
Yeah.
And this came from my medical doctor, you guys. So what was provided for me through Kaiser is that the doctors if we go complaining, I'm itching and scratching, they're going to think you crazy.
Yeah.
And if you go complaining, the side effects of what we have is depression. That's true.
Right.
I had depression and anxiety. Depression and anxiety, you use Zoloft. So tell them the truth. I am depressed.
Well,
and at first I was a little worried about where that would take me, but it got what I needed. and
Yes.
and it cost $7.
And it was worth every dime. Yeah. Well, many people do go the route, and they're sent to the psychiatrist, and when the psychiatrist recommends that they take Zoloft or something like this, then of course the person doesn't understand that, and they go off the deep end, and because they're going there for the itching and the scratching, not for the depression. But they are depressed. We all are depressed. In fact, a couple of months ago, we did probably 2 videos just on the subject of depression. So it's a big part of our lives when we're dealing with these organisms. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you.
And keep coming back. We're here for you. We're here to support you in getting your life back. So that one day you'll say, well, because of you and Robin and Ethel and Megan and I stuck with it. I got my life back.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Chris?
So I wanted to start the Garcillin. I did get the bottle in the mail yesterday. I was wondering what you suggest for starting that. How much?
Well, the directions say 1 capsule a day, which is fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that I didn't? It also says to take after each meal. I didn't know if that meant I needed to take it after each meal, or once a day is good.
Well, once a day with the meal. Doesn't matter which meal you take it. I take 2 a day because I have a tendency for herpes simplex, so I use 2 a day to keep that under control. But that's another. So you can go up to as many as what we have 2 grades of Garcillin. One is regular Garcillin. You can go up to 6 a day, 7 or 8 if you want to. But then you can switch up to Garcillin 2 and go back to 1 or 2 a day. So the Garcillin 2 seems to be a little more impactful. It's got more parts per million.
Okay, will do. And then I'm on Lexapro. Is that similar to, I mean, that is an antidepressant, or it's an anti-anxiety antidepressant. So
well, I'm not familiar. You'd have to go to Google and you'd have to search, or some search engine. I'm beginning to hate Google, but go and search the medication and dopamine interaction, or phrase it something like the medication and dopamine, and see if it has a tendency to reduce dopamine uptake in the brain. See if that's so. That's what makes it worthwhile for us.
Yeah, I know there's all kinds of new medications coming out, and I wondered how to, kind of gather with that. So I know this is a newer one, but
yeah, just search it and see, and then let us know if it how it works for you. That's how all of these medications got in the book, from people telling me that, hey, when I was using Seroquel, the diet works so great, everything is great, I go to bed and I sleep nice, or when I use Risperidone, life is so much better. So that's how I learned about all these medications. You guys are my research team. You find the medication that helps make the diet work better, and you tell me about it, and it goes in the book, so other people can use it.
Okay, will do. Well, I will have to say the diet works perfectly. I mean, like, it really is the main thing, and then the glutathione and the Garcillin, hopefully it's just going to add one more thing to it. So it's definitely a process of just, and I'm noticing that as time goes on, I'm seeing a lot less and less of those fibers floating around me. So I do think it's just a matter of time, that the less I get in my body and the less I get around me, the less I see those fibers. They look like lint to me.
Yes, they do.
So it's one of those things where it looked like lint for a while, and then I noticed that they were a little fibrous in look. But when I grab onto one and I pull it, it doesn't move. It doesn't look like any kind of it doesn't look like a bug or anything. It's just a lint hair.
Yeah, they're just filaments. They're just filaments. That's all they are. They're filaments.
Okay. So it doesn't look like bumps to me, but I can tell that they're getting less and less around me. So as I do more baths and as I do the diet, I am noticing less and less of that. So
that's the whole goal. You know, they're organisms, and by the time most people find out that you're infected with these organisms, there are trillions in your environment. So you get on the program, you get on the diet, you stop breeding them internally, you start disinfecting, you start bathing, and as you do these, the numbers are diminished from trillions down to billions, down to millions, down to thousands, and eventually zero. And your life is back and you own it again.
yeah, I can see more and more of what you say, because at first you're kind of like so overtaken by what is going on with you that sometimes you hear what you're saying, but it's like, okay, how does this work? But I am seeing as time goes on that less and less are around me. So that's good. That's a good news, right?
That's good news, and you'll soon become one of our coaches if you like to if you like to help others.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that. But I'll let somebody else ask you a question. So thank you for the answers, and thanks for being there for us.
I'm so glad. I'm sure Robin will agree. We're very happy to be here for you, and Ethel as well.
Yes.
Thank you. And
thank you to all of you.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You
Anyone else, Chris?
Kelly, your line is open, please.
Okay. I actually have two questions after that. Is that okay, or should I just stick to my one? Okay, cool.
You can do two as long as you don't do more than 30 seconds.
Oh, good luck. Hey, no, that's funny. I'm just crazy to find out where these filaments have come from. It's going to be a real eye-opener when we're all watching 60 Minutes and they find out this is, do you have any idea, sir?
Hey, tell you the truth, I will jump for joy when they simply do a piece on Monsanto and glyphosate and GMOs. I will jump for joy. As far as Morgellons, I'm not going to hold out on that one. I doubt that they're going to touch that for a decade or two.
Wow. So we might not.
Dr. Middleveen, who is a microbiologist, says that the fibers are actually built from keratin from our own bodies, and it makes a lot of sense because Morgellons.
She's not a doctor.
She's a vet.
She's a research veterinarian, and the research says that they're comprised of collagen and keratin that come from the human body, which makes the organism a parasite because it uses up organic sulfur in your skin and iron and other nutrients to create these filaments and fibers, which they say is not contagious. Many people have written me to counter that they are contagious. So, and my own experience says they're contagious, or if you want to call it infectious. I don't care what you call it, as we discussed before. But where they come from, that's where they come from. They come from animals. They come from humans. Now, you can go on YouTube and find all kinds of things. We did a video on this about maybe a month or so ago. What is Morgellons? There are people who swear. One guy swears it's a fungal thing, and he shows a video of all this stuff floating in the air. And they're all fungal. Yeah, 90% of us probably have fungal issues, but it is not fungal. So we went through all of that. So the filaments and fibers come from animals and humans. That's where they come from.
Well, and there are vectors for Morgellons that are mites, springtails, ticks, fleas.
Yes, they carry these. Yeah, they carry these filaments and fibers to your skin or whatever the infectious organism. They don't really know what the infectious organism is. The Morgellons Foundation, Middleveen, and the Stryker, and the people who do these pilot study research, and I'm really grateful that they do. We do learn some things from these pilot studies. They swear that these filaments are not infectious. Their research says that these filaments do possess spirochetes in and on them, which may mean a transmission there but they say they're not infectious. But I have countless numbers of people who have written me to tell me that they have given it to their grandchildren, or they picked it up from pets, or they've given it to housemates, they've given it to people they've worked with. So I don't want to call these people liars. In my own personal experience, right. I don't want to call myself a liar.
Can I say one last thing?
Yes.
She brought up the word vectors. I told you I've been with a microscope. I'm taking pictures, and I find mites in every hotel I've been in. I have found every kind of mite in my house, which is a different story. My wife sabotaged it before she ran off. On these mites, I see those filaments. Like some of the mites are armed where their stinger is and has the filament on it. And I was thinking that sometimes the mites are the vectors of those things that get in.
They are. There are 40,000 species of mites, according to Britannica. Typically, the ones that are affecting us are no-see-ums, the red mite, rat mites, bird mites, carpet beetles, what else? To some degree, maybe mosquitoes. So there are typical ones, maybe 2 dozen in total of the kinds of ticks, bed bugs, maybe 2 dozen different kinds of organisms that are known or suspected of carrying these filaments or fibers or whatever. If you saw it to infect other people through bites or simply crawling on you.
Can I say one other thing? I just interrupt for 1 second. I really believe that the filaments and the biofilm, Morgellons, just like lowering body temperature, they create an environment in our bodies that is suited to them, and they create biofilm to live in, and they create the filaments, and they lower our body temperature because they like a certain temperature environment, and it's all related to them being comfortable.
Yeah, of course. Like I said earlier, they create their own dopamine, so they, self-feeding mechanism. And if you look at one of the updates that we have that goes back maybe a year or so, just scratch. When you itch, what do?
Scratch.
You scratch, right? Do you know that when you scratch your skin, you set off a set of hormones in your body that actually feed the organisms?
Wow.
That's in one of the updates.
Yes, sir. I bet I got to just share that on that one. I've scratched. I hope it's okay to say, but I've scratched myself so hard it was orgasmic because I'd waited weeks to scratch it, and then when I finally did, I went berserk and scratched skin right off to blood, and it was actually very, very. It felt great.
and of course, if you go to the doctor, then he's saying, "Well, you're doing it to yourself. Look at this. You did it to yourself. Right in the middle of your back. You were reaching back there, and you scratched it, and you did it to yourself."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we'll finally get to my one question because this has been so great today for me. Thank all of you.
Your 30 seconds. I'm sorry. Your 30 seconds are over.
Well, then give me this feed real quick because I want to get the crystal mothballs, the right kind. I know the word. I looked it all up, but then I got scared to do it. But she said 2 hours, to go away for 2 hours and then come back and open your door. And the reason I want to do it is she had mentioned last meeting that I was in with you, the one before last, I think, that this stuff gets down into the cracks, like maybe even a baseboard or under something that a spray won't get, because I don't have an electrostatic sprayer.
It's not mothballs.
It's menthol crystals.
It's totally
yes,
different
menthol
than
crystals. Exactly. I'm sorry. I just, for lack of a better word.
You get a wax warmer. You can get the kind that have a little candle inside, and then you put like cubes of wax on top, only instead of cubes of wax, you put menthol crystals.
And it melts it.
And it melts it. And you could do one room at a time. I try to do the whole house at once when I know I'm going to be gone. Because
can I ask you this? How long
you do not want to breathe that. You do not want to stay around and breathe it.
That's what I'm saying.
I've done it for as much as 6 hours at a time.
So then you come home and you open up the house and let it air out.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And they also
and you found this effective to kill things.
It helps tremendously, yeah.
It's one of many different things that you'll find in Chapter 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read the Chapter 3 again.
Some wax warmers are, you plug them in, and they have a light bulb inside that melts the wax, but you want to get the kind that have a bigger light bulb, because otherwise it doesn't get hot enough to release enough.
So thanks for telling me. So getting the one that burns the candle might be the best.
I like them both, but I found some wax warmers that have these big fat light bulbs in them, and they work pretty well, especially for a small room.
Yeah, you don't want to
I'll
burn
check
your
it
house. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Well, maybe. I'm done. I thank you all very much.
You're welcome. Keep coming back.